News reports have claimed that I'm anti-vaccine or anti-industry. I am neither. I am pro-safety.
We'll have order. Please proceed, Mr. Kennedy.
I am pro-safety.
He's pro-safety. That's, you're anti-vaccine, you nasty Democrat Kennedy family members. You must all be destroyed. The ones that are remaining, the ones that are left. That's another mentally ill Democrat disrupting the confirmation hearing for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is an interesting person. And you don't have to agree with him on everything. I certainly don't think I'd ever agree with him on everything. I don't agree with Michael Piercy on everything. But honestly, they're disrupting. They're being dragged out. They're crazy little zombie girls with glassy eyes, and their retinas spin like pinwheels, and they're dragged out by the police, should probably be sent to Guantanamo Bay for 20 years. I think we've got some space available there. Joe Biden let almost everybody go because the Democrats love terrorists as long as the terrorists hate Americans. That's the standard. They fund Iran and Hamas. They're not on our side. Energy policies that benefit Putin and Russia and the Ayatollahs in Iran, but never mind that. So in any case, back to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. testifying on Capitol Hill, saying, I'm not anti-vaccine, as a protester is being dragged out of there. And he also had a conversation with the people at Fox News, RFK Jr. did, who famously said that his father, Robert F. Kennedy Sr., shot and killed by Sirhan Sirhan, and his uncle, Robert F. Kennedy, shot in the head and killed by Lee Harvey Oswald, that they would find today's Democrat Party unrecognizable. And any Democrat that's been around for more than 20 years would find today's Democrat Party to be unrecognizable. But so many of them are brainwashed zombies that they're not capable of offering an honest opinion anymore. It's quite peculiar. But RFK Jr. said, news reports have claimed that I am anti-vaccine or anti-industry. Well, I am neither, he said. I am pro-safety. I worked for years to raise awareness about the mercury and toxic chemicals in fish, but that didn't make me anti-fish. All of my kids are vaccinated. All of them. He's got all of his kids. They're Kennedys. They're, Pop Mount. And he's a predator, I don't know. But I was always fine with the Kennedy family until yesterday, that he was a predator. They all knew that, and they're all fine with that. But then he started talking to Trump. So now they must come out in opposition to predators for the first time ever. Isn't that amazing? They were protectors and defenders of predators until yesterday in the Kennedy family. There's a lot of history that would support that, too. So Bobby Kennedy Jr. also said, all of my kids are vaccinated, and I believe vaccines have a critical role in health care. But pay no attention to that because the Democrats, they're here to lynch. And again, today, the RFK Jr. hearing on the Hill before the Senate Finance Committee. Why the Senate Finance Committee? Kind of peculiar, but HHS, Senate Finance, okay. And then tomorrow he's got another hearing with the Senate Health Committee, the Senate Health Committee. And that, so 2 days of confirmation hearings for him. Isn't that great? Maybe we should talk about everything that we do wrong in this country and try to make it better. But the left will shout you down because they're generally responsible for everything that's wrong in this country. For example, I don't know if you saw this, but the nation's report card on education in the United States has come out, and this one is kind of amazing. Among fourth graders in the United States of America, 40% of fourth graders are reading below basic level. 40%, 4 out of 10, reading below basic level. Thanks, Democrats. And when it comes to math Math performed at proficient or advanced level in fourth grade, 40%. So 40% are, when it comes to math, performing at what the level they're expected to perform at in fourth grade. Only 40%. That means 60% are not. And 40% of them are also reading below basic level. Then jump ahead 4 more years in the United States. Eighth graders, 33% of eighth graders are reading below basic level. That's 1/3 for Democrats trying to follow along. And among eighth graders, 28% of eighth graders performed at proficient or advanced level. So only slightly more than a quarter, fewer than a third of eighth graders performed at basic level of proficiency, not to mention advanced level. We'll include advanced level in there, too. And that's the teachers' unions and the Democrat Party up the yin-yang. That's what's going on there. So the Democrats, they're the heads of education and all that stuff. Isn't that amazing? Today is also, and I haven't really talked about it, today is Mailbag Day. It's Mailbag Day here on the Chris Plante Show. And we have, we're going to have some audio for you from the RFK Jr. hearing with, you got crazy disruptors, lefties, glassy-eyed zombies. Democrats are the zombie apocalypse. They're the education apocalypse. They're the wildfire apocalypse with no water coming out of the fire hydrants. They are the ship millions of dollars in condoms to terrorists in Gaza lunatics. The Democrat Party is unwell. And then our news media jumps in, when Caroline Leavitt said that the Biden administration killed 100 million chickens, well, that needs context. And then they explain that the Biden administration killed 100 million chickens. Saying, no, that's wrong. Well, sure, they killed 100 million chickens, but you can't just say they killed 100 million chickens. It's because of the avian flu. Did that come from Wuhan? Because I'm always interested in where these things come from. But let's get back to the mailbag. If not now, when? If not us, who? I have only 3 questions that I was provided today from the mailbag. Ray Goodpasture. Question was selected, not by me, but by others. Ray Goodpasture says, we were in D.C. for the inauguration. Walked 20 miles in 3 days. What walks do you and your best girl enjoy doing most? That's kind of a fun question because we do walk around the city a lot. We call them hikes, because we're just hiking. And we go places. We go out into, we got big national parks around here and stuff, too. And we will go hike. We will go do other things. But walk 20 miles in D.C. And Ray Goodpasture, I'm guessing that's because every road was shut down and you couldn't find cabs, which they've destroyed. Uber destroyed cabs in Washington. And then Uber tripled their prices. And during the inauguration, all the roads were shut down all over the place. You couldn't find an Uber. You couldn't find a taxi cab. You could barely get to the subway. But walk 20 miles in 3 days. That's pretty good amount of walking for Ray Goodpasture. And he says we, so I assume his best girl and maybe other family people. 20 miles. What walks do we like doing and my best girl like doing? Well, the truth is we live in Northwest Washington, D.C. We live in a building. The buildings aren't too tall in Washington, D.C., but it's about as tall as they get in Washington. And we like to leave our building and head out around the city through residential neighborhoods. We will walk some of the main drags, and we go play. We walk miles sometimes to go to restaurants, and we eat, and then we walk a couple miles home, and we're happy to do that. But we will also, we ride the bus. We'll hop on the city bus with our bus card, the swipe card, and go to Georgetown, get out at Georgetown off the bus. We walk along the river, like past the Kennedy Center to the mall, the volleyball courts, the monuments. We were 2 weeks ago with the Lincoln Memorial, and actually we had visitors in, brought them to the Lincoln Memorial, the Vietnam War Memorial, up the mall, and then to a restaurant where they have cold beer and things like that. But we walk in all kinds of directions. We'll walk 2 miles to a restaurant, right? We like to eat. And maybe have a cold beer. My best girl usually has a wine, not a cold beer, but sometimes a beer. We'll walk to, there's a sports bar we walk to. There's walk to a restaurant. It doesn't sound like it's really exercise. We're going to restaurants and bars, and it's true. But we will walk in all kinds of directions. Rock Creek Park, which is, according to many accounts, the largest urban park in America. And there are trails there, bike trails and walking trails. You can go up and down in the woods, and it can be a big up and down, very outdoorsy thing. But we walk in and usually we're surrounded by buildings and houses. We just hike around the city everywhere in all directions. And we'll walk to the White House. We'll walk around there. Then go to a rooftop place. We don't always have food in mind, but usually. But we love walking the mall. And I'll tell you, walking the mall, we would just wander into the National Gallery of Art and go look at some amazing art. You can do Renaissance art. You can go to the East Wing of the National Gallery for more modern art. Go to the Hirshhorn Museum for modern art. We'll walk in and out of museums. They're all free. Right? I remember the Newseum was there, and they charged you like $15 to walk in, and they went bankrupt because journalists ran it. So they ran it wrong, and it wasn't a business, and they went bankrupt, and now they're gone. But a university bought it. So, yeah, where do we go? Honestly, Ray, we go in all directions, depending on the weather and the time of day and the day of the week. But we just strap on our walking shoes, and we head out of our building, and we go in all kinds of directions. Sometimes we will take the bus. We ride the subway sometimes, but not very frequently. It's better than New York. We'll leave it at that. The subway in Washington, Yeah, so I'm not sure. I wish there was a better answer, Ray, but we just go in all directions, to the woods, to the monuments, to the museums, to the waterfront. And sometimes we just stay in the neighborhoods, and we'll go walk 2 or 3 miles away from our house and then just come back home and get something to eat at home. It's all about eating. Thank you, Ray. Mike in Virginia says, good morning, Chris and Michael, including you there, Michael. I was wondering about these security clearances. How do these people make money with them? Like John Penitentiary Face Brennan, who had his security clearance stripped. Now he's on MSNBC every day complaining. How do these people make money with them? Is it like a library card for insider info? Remember Paul Harvey? Good day. Sure. I used to stop my radio show at 11:45 in the morning to make room for 15 minutes of Paul Harvey. It was a great privilege, honor to do that, the great Paul Harvey. How do they make money? Well, when they leave, Penitentiary Face leaves the CIA, where he was a criminal for presumably his entire career. And he never left Virginia. He was never out in the field fighting bad guys. He's just a Washington bureaucrat. But with your security clearance, you get a job at, let's say, Raytheon, a big arms contractor, defense contractor. Now, in order to operate at Raytheon at the highest levels, you have to be able to go into meetings with senior government officials to talk about classified programs, which you can't do if you don't have your security clearance anymore. This is just one example. If you don't have your security clearance, top secret and all that, then you can't sit down. A lot of people at these companies have security clearances, and they go meet with about contracts with government officials to talk about top secret stuff, most of which shouldn't be top secret. But you're not welcome in these meetings if your security clearance is not current. And so Raytheon has no use for you if you cannot be used in the way that they would like to use you to develop programs with the government back and forth and all these top secret things, right? So Raytheon, Boeing, even, they do a lot of top secret stuff too, believe it or not, and other arms contractors, weapons systems and so on, developmental systems, airplanes, guided bomb units, missiles, all kinds of good things. It's all classified, and you can't sit down in the meetings if you don't have your security clearance. So the company's going to say, why are we paying this guy? There's no reason to hire him. There's no reason to pay him. And I've got one more question from the mailbag that I'm going to get to. Yeah, so you got to keep your security clearance intact. Otherwise, these companies have no use for you. They can hire anybody off the street without a security clearance. So what's the point? So your retired Secretary of Defense, right? He had his security clearance stripped. Former Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, thoroughly modern Milley, had his security clearance stripped by Donald Trump. They've all been crooks. They've all done things that stink of being crooks. You know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier is finally here, and it builds on the incredible success of previous generations of the Eden Pure Thunderstorm, which earned thousands of five-star reviews on Al Gore's amazing internet, became a bestseller in no time. The new Eden Pure Thunderstorm uses two technologies that studies have shown help to kill 99.9% of bacteria and viruses floating in the air, like the Wuhan. It also vacuums up dust and pet dander and smoke and a lot more stuff floating around in the air. It gets rid of any odor, and that's a good thing. And there are no filters to have to buy and replace on a schedule again and again, which is annoying. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell, guaranteed. Orders from trash cans and cigarette smoke and teenagers' bedrooms, musty basements, no match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. And the smells disappear in a matter of seconds. Even Michael Moore's aroma is no match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. Right now, you can save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack because you hang with me. So you can put one in your basement, your teenager's room, your family room, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code CHRIS3, CHRIS, and the number 3 to save $200 on 3 thunderstorms. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is CHRIS3. And I have one more mailbag question to get to as well. Yeah, your security clearance is a marketable commodity. Former government official, now one step to the left, and you got to work for a big arms contractor. But if you can't go to the classified meetings, you can't be handed the classified documents, you're no good to them. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. Well, I do have, as I said, one more mailbag question, and it's a fun one from Barry Tolbert. If the United States were to create a second Mount Rushmore, what presidents would you want to see honored on the second Mount Rushmore? You know, who is it? Una Paloma Blanca, Congresswoman, actually has written legislation calling for Donald Trump to be put on Mount Rushmore. Did you know that? That's true. And we're going to have to put like a diving board on the top for Democrats to go commit mass suicide. Thanks to the Democrat Party. It just keeps coming at us so fast. And CNN lying about they'll lie about the price of eggs. They're lying about the price of eggs. My friend Brian sent me a photograph because we were talking about the Caroline Leavitt yesterday at White House briefing, talking about how the Biden administration destroyed. First, a fake reporter says, the price of eggs is high. What is Trump doing about it? He's been president for 8 days, and the price of eggs is on Donald Trump, but it was never on Joe Biden. And Caroline Leavitt, being well-informed, said that the Biden administration killed 100 million chickens in the United States because of the avian flu. And that means fewer chickens, fewer eggs, higher prices. You know, in case you missed every class they ever offered at every school you ever went to. Remarkable stuff. And so the CNN doing like a fake fact check. Well, they did kill 100 million chickens. It's true. But, you know, we need more context for that. No, you don't. You guys need to find another line of work. It's what you guys need to do, honestly. They're attacking her. And they should be. throwing themselves off of high precipices, honestly. But my friend Brian sent me a photograph from the Giant Food Store. The Giant Food Store. You know, that's not Whole Foods or a fancy, what's the other fancy store now? Yeah, well, they got all these fancy grocery stores now, but this is just a regular grocery store, Giant. And here's a photograph. Large white eggs, 1 dozen, $7.39. This is Alexandria, Virginia. For the store brand eggs, the Giant Food Store eggs, large white eggs, $7.39 for a dozen. That's your Democrat Party. And who gave us the avian flu? Was that the commies? Or did the Democrats create that during a monkeypox session? Yeah. Now you can still get Eggland's Best for $5.49 for a dozen eggs. But, you know, I think like, when Joe Biden took office, they're like $1.29 a dozen or something like that. But that's okay. The news media is there to backstop you. Yes, they are. As I said, one more mailbag question, and I struggled with this. I struggled with this a bit. From Barry Tolbert, with our third and last mailbag question today. Hey, Chris! ! I like that. If the U.S. was to create a new second Mount Rushmore, what presidents would you want to see honored on the new second Mount Rushmore? Now, I did mention that Anna Paulina Luna is her name. She's a Republican member of the House of Representatives, and she has actually written up legislation calling for Donald Trump to be added to our current Mount Rushmore. And we were laughing about this the other night at Newsmax because, you know, the Democrats, you may not have noticed, they don't like Donald Trump. And putting Donald Trump on Mount Rushmore, that'd be a little too much for them, I think. But Florida Republican introduces bill to add Trump to Mount Rushmore. And the media plotsing again because that's what they do. Anna Paulina Luna. And every time I see Anna Paulina Luna's name or I say it out loud, I always think of the old song that you used to hear on cable television commercials, Una Paloma Blanca, right? Una Paloma Blanca, ah-ooh. Because it's Anna Paulina Luna. For some reason, it brings me there. But Anna Paulina Luna, Republican Florida, introduced a bill Tuesday seeking to add President Trump's face to the Mount Rushmore Monument. His remarkable accomplishments for our country and the success he will continue to deliver deserve the highest recognition and honor on this iconic national monument, Anna Paulina Luna wrote on a Tuesday post on the social media platform X. Now, that's kind of fun. And I got to say, Barry, I was thrown by this a little bit. Obviously, Ronald Reagan. So that's a gimme. You could have Ronald Reagan on his own Mount Rushmore, and he would deserve it. Now, Donald Trump, 2 non-consecutive terms, coming out of nowhere, no political past. The first elected office that he ever held was President of the United States, not dog catcher, city council member, or mayor, or congressman, or senator, or governor. None of that. But Donald Trump, and then nobody since Grover Cleveland, 2 non-consecutive terms as president. I've got to say, and it's, his second term is not over yet, so you might tap pause. But I've got to say, Reagan came to mind immediately, of course. Donald Trump, definitely, but I got to wait for him to finish his second term before you say, let's put him on a Mount Rushmore equivalent. And beyond that, because Mount Rushmore did a pretty good job of, choosing George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, not necessarily in that order, and Teddy Roosevelt, and pretty good collection, pretty good, I've got to say. And then just for a moment we discussed, if the Democrats had their own Mount Rushmore, who would that be? It'd be Pol Pot and Mao Zedong and Joseph Stalin, Ho Chi Minh. Who would they have? No, but really, for Democrat presidents, who would they have? I know they worship Che Guevara and communist murderers, mass murderers. But who would they have? You know who they'd put on their Mount Rushmore? They'd put Barack Obama on their Mount Rushmore. He racially splintered the country in ways not done since another Democrat president who would also go on the Democrat Mount Rushmore, Jefferson Davis. He was the president of the Confederate States of America during the first Civil War that the Democrats created. And they'd put Jimmy Carter on there. You know they would. Who else do they have? They could put, where they put John F. Kennedy on there. Who do they put on their Mount Rushmore? It'd be Jefferson Davis and Barack Obama, and both terrible racists. Just by the way, Jimmy Carter for his the disastrous 4 years that he spent. But I got to say, Barry, I've got Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump, in addition to George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and Abraham Lincoln and Teddy Roosevelt. Pretty good collection. And, again, Anna Paulina Luna saying, let's put Donald Trump on Mount Rushmore. You'd have to put a staircase up there with, like, a suicide platform. They call it the Jonestown platform or something. And we were talking about it at Newsmax, and said have a big curl in his hair that Democrats could stand on like a diving board and throw themselves off. I know, but it's not as negative as it sounds. It's, because they're like Jonestown prone these days. But yeah, Barry, I mean, all I got for you in addition to the already existing Mount Rushmore is Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump, and I need to wait until Donald Trump's done with his second term for a monument like that. I'm sorry, I know it's only 2 and not 4. What can you say about that? And the Democrats, their whole Jonestown thing, what's with them? They're fully Jonestowned out. Man, oh, Manischewitz, I am telling you. Now, this is funny. The White House has picked up a new practice. New practice came into being today. The White House now issuing a press release debunking the latest fake news hoaxes. What? Debunking the latest fake news hoaxes. And it's on White House stationery for immediate release today. Actually, it was last night. Debunking, and the headline is, Debunking Latest Fake News Hoaxes. President Donald J. Trump has been subjected to more manufactured fake news hoaxes than any president in history, and it hasn't gotten any better in his second term. And they note, here are just a few. Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat, Connecticut. Representative Jasmine Crockett, Democrat, Texas. And media outlets claim President Trump's directive to pause radical, wasteful government spending means an end to Medicaid, food assistance, and other individual assistance programs. And they put out a press release calling these crooked, criminal Democrat frauds, Senator Chris Murphy and the reliably insane Jasmine Crockett of Texas, peddling these falsehoods when you tap the brakes on government spending. Oh, children are going to starve. Well, we'll give the money to Planned Parenthood. Would that make you feel better then, Jasmine? You know, it would. And where is Hamas going to get condoms? They got more condoms for Hamas. There should be a song called Condoms for Hamas. Aren't they amazing? Bop, bop, bop. All right, let's go back because we can't do the whole Carolyn Levitt tour de force press conference yesterday, but let's go to NBC Fake News' fake reporter, Peter Alexander, at the briefing yesterday. The Democrats are not in favor of rounding up or even arresting 1 or 2 illegal alien murderers or rapists with long criminal histories in the country. And Caroline Levitt read a good list, but let's go to Peter Alexander.
President Trump, during the course of the campaign in 2024, said the following about illegal immigration. He said, they're going back home where they belong, and we start with the criminals. There are many, many criminals. NBC News has learned that ICE arrested 1,179 undocumented immigrants on Sunday, but nearly half of them, 566 of the migrants, appear to have no prior criminal record besides entering the country illegally. Is the president still focused exclusively, which is a civil crime, it's not criminal?
It's a federal crime.
So I'm asking, though, he said he was going to focus on those violent offenders first. So is violent offenders no longer the predicate for these people to be deported?
The criminal behavior. So you have to wait until they murder Laken Riley. You got a Venezuelan gang member in the country. He hasn't murdered anyone yet. So the Democrat Party wants to sleep with him. I do mean in a sexual way. Isn't that amazing? So that's the question. So these President Trump said deport criminals first, which is what's happening. So once again, he's making good on yet another campaign promise. And 66% of Americans agree with the mass deportations, which is a huge number, more than would choose vanilla ice cream or chocolate ice cream. And they're also, in the Liberal on my TV show on Newsmax last night did this too, 48% of the people arrested have not been convicted of major violent crimes. So only 52% of them have. And the Democrats are jumping in front of trains to defend the 52% of convicted criminals, in a great many cases murderers, rapists, gang members, convicted in their home countries. Then they come here in the Democrat Party, and Peter Alexander, part of the Democrat Party, defending them. Yesterday's briefing.
The president has said countless times on the campaign trail, I've been with him at the rallies, I know you've been there covering them too, Peter, that he is focused on launching the largest mass deportation operation in American history of illegal criminals. And if you are an individual, a foreign national, who illegally enters the United States of America, you are, by definition, a criminal. And so therefore, you are subject to deportation.
He jumps in to cut her off. No, he's the defense lawyer for Venezuelan rapist, murderer, gang members, because that's our news media. The left is the third world, it continued.
I apologize for interrupting. So to be clear, violent criminals do not receive precedence in terms of the deportations taking place.
The president has also said two things can be true at the same time. We want to deport illegal criminals, illegal immigrants from this country, but the president has said that, of course, the illegal criminal drug dealers, the rapists, the murderers, the individuals who have committed heinous acts on the interior of our country and who have terrorized law-abiding American citizens, absolutely, those should be the priority of ICE, but that doesn't mean that the other illegal criminals who entered our nation's borders are off the table.
Caroline Levitt continued. Wait. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Peter Alexander again with his, what about the violent criminals? Caroline Levitt then ticked off, let's see, ICE arrested a wanted murderer in Boston, a rapist in San Francisco, a gang leader in New York, and went across the country, up and down the list of these criminals and gang members, and literally murderers, literally rapists, convicted, mind you, some in the United States, and the Democrats still want them walking around the streets of the United States of America free and loose to commit more and more crimes. The Democrat Party is not on our side. Boy, are they not on our side. Man, oh man.
On January 23rd, ICE New York arrested a Turkish national for entry without inspection who is a known or suspected terrorist.
Terrorist?
On January 23rd, ICE San Francisco arrested a citizen of Mexico unlawfully present in the United States who has been convicted of continuous sexual abuse of a child aged 14 years or younger.
Well, that's the party of Jeffrey Epstein.
Has arrested a citizen of Honduras who was convicted of fourth-degree criminal sexual conduct with a minor.
Across the country, all over the country, the child rapists, the sex criminals, the murderers, the gang members, and Peter Alexander is there to defend the crime and the criminal because they call that journalism today. No sense of irony whatsoever. Extraordinary times we're in. President Trump is here, and Caroline Levitt is here, and she is great. She should get a lucite block of some kind, maybe a golden statuette. Spectacular job. Everyone loves her except the radical left-wing, barn burners, the Democrat Party. There's something terribly wrong with these people.
Which is a civil crime, it's not criminal.
Now, RFK Jr. confirmation hearing going on today in the United States Senate. Pocahontas, a fake Native American who's lied about her whole life, really going after RFK Jr. Chuck Schumer, the Lizard King. Now, boy, when they turn on you, and they turn your own family against you. You spoke to a Republican. You're concerned about kids' health. You think we should study the effects of vaccines. You're wondering why so many kids are autistic now when so many kids were not autistic 50 years ago. And the Lizard King, Chuck Schumer, attacking RFK Jr., no longer in good with the Democrats.
I cannot recall a nominee more dangerous to the health of Americans than Mr. Kennedy. He is neither a doctor nor a scientist nor a public health expert.
Neither are you.
Nor a policy expert of any kind.
Policy expert.
When I met with him, he would not answer many questions directly, saying he would defer to the president,
Weasel
who
questions.
also is hardly an health expert.
Yeah, but you are, right? And then we have, Caroline Kennedy, his own cousin, trashing Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's got questions, and I don't agree with him on everything, but these guys are Nazis. They're doing the Hitler salute over here.
Bobby is addicted to attention and power, even before he fills this job.
Unlike other Kennedys.
His constant denigration of our healthcare system and the conspiratorial half-truths he's told about vaccines, including
Russia.
in connection with Samoa's deadly 2019 outbreak of measles.
Who can forget?
That cost lives. They deserve a stable, moral, and ethical person at the helm of this crucial agency.
Reading much?
They deserve better than Bobby Kennedy.
Wow, that's your lifelong pal, your first cousin, and she accuses him of being a predator. Now, if I were there, and there is never anybody there to ask the right question, I'd ask Caroline Kennedy, and that song Sweet Caroline that they sing in Boston all the time was about her when she was much, much, much younger, much 67 years old now she is, and boy, she speaks to the need for SPF 50. She really does. She should, maybe be a negative example, model for SPF 50 suntan lotion. But she's attacking him. Now, he's a predator. For how long have you known that he's a predator, and why didn't you say anything until now?